Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, says in Bhagavad Gita that the natural laws being enacted are correct in all activities because of his, meaning Krishna's, superintendence. No one should think that nature is working automatically without superintendence. And that's what a lot of people think, but it's wrong. The Vedic literature says that the clouds are controlled by the demigod Indra. Heat is distributed by the sun god. The soothing moonlight is distributed by Chandra. And the air is blowing under the arrangement of the demigod Vayu. But above all these demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the chief living entity. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The demigods are also ordinary living entities, but due to their faithfulness, their devotional service attitude, they have been promoted to such posts. These different demigods or directors, such as Chandra, Varuna, and Vayu, are called Adhikari Devata. The demigods are departmental heads. The government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet or two or three. There are millions of planets and millions of universes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a huge government and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered his bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of the Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate cha characharam. The natural laws are being conducted under his superintendence. Because he is in the background, everything is being performed punctually and regularly. That's a very important statement. Everything is being performed punctually and regularly. Yes, you can't deny that. And that means that somebody is controlling it. And that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. Otherwise, why is nature acting punctually, meaning on time, and regularly, meaning in a what you would call um, a way that can be uh, uh, let's say it's regularly means it's happening in an organized way. One who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely protected from all other influences. He no longer serves or is obligated to anyone else. Of course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord. The statements by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, that under his direction the air is blowing, the fire is burning, and the sun is giving heat are not sentimental. The impersonalists may say that the Bhagavatam devotees create and imagine someone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and assign qualifications to him. But actually, it is neither imagination nor an imposition of artificial power in the name of Godhead. In the Vedas, it is said, Vishas Mad Vata Pavate Vishot Deti Surya. By fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind god and the sun god are acting. Bishasmad Agnis Chandrascha Mrityur Davati Panchama. Agni, Indra, and Mritya, Mrityu, are also acting under his direction. These are the statements of the Vedas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so there are some wonderful statements here. One of them is the demigods are departmental heads. The government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet, or two, or three. There are millions of planets and millions of universes. The Supreme Personality Godhead has a huge government and universes. The Supreme Personality Godhead has a huge government and universes. The Supreme Personality Godhead and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered his bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshina Pakriti Suyate Sharachana. The natural laws are being conducted under the superintendence, under his superintendence, because he is in the background of everything. And because he is in the background, everything is being performed punctually and regularly. No one can deny this. In other words, it would be impossible to have a calendar with, let's say, uh, a, a concept of what the weather is going to be today, tomorrow, next week, uh, and even next month. Uh, and how is that possible? Because everything is being controlled by the demigods and ultimately by Krishna. Therefore, things are predictable. If there was chaos, actual chaos, nothing would be predictable. But yet, the on the daily news, you can hear, well, tomorrow morning it's going to rain. It'll only be a drizzle, and then by noon the rain will stop and it'll be sunny. How can they make those statements? And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, those statements are correct. It's because nature is functioning in an organized way. It is not haphazard. There's someone behind all this organization, and the 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 depth of the organization is mind-boggling. And that's because behind everything is Krishna. Okay, so with Krishna, there are many agents who are functioning under Krishna's superintendence, such as Chandra, Varuna, and Vayu. And they're called Adhikari Devata. In other words, they're demigods who are departmental heads. The government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet or two or three, there are millions of planets and millions of universes, and obviously millions of assistants of millions and millions of assistants of the Lord. Just like if you look at how many people are in the government of the city of Seattle, well, you come into thousands of people are needed to manage the city of Seattle. That's one little city. So, how many people are necessary to manage the universe or manage just the not only Seattle but the state of Washington? It runs into the thousands of people. You know, you have the water department, you have the police department, You have so many different departments, and all these departments are necessary to manage one city called City of Seattle. Now you can imagine how many people it takes to manage the universe. It's a mind-boggling number. And above all, there's Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, who's controlling the whole thing. So therefore, it's unimaginable for an ordinary human being to understand the scope and extent and let's say
And
uh, the um, the extent of the Lord's let's say control of material nature. Material nature is not functioning on by itself. It's under total control of Krishna. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. That's how that's how perfectly the Lord is organizing everything. And that's why the statement is made here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a huge government, and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered his bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The natural laws are being conducted under his superintendence because he is in the background. Everything is being performed punctually and regularly. Now, if this is a fact, that means that uh, everything, including our digestion, including our breathing, including our ability to move our limbs, all this is also being organized and controlled by the Lord. It's not. It's not my body. No, it's Krishna's body, and therefore we should only use the body in the service of Krishna. When we use the body without taking consciousness of Krishna, we are basically in a state of illusion, and we don't really understand what is the background of the material nature. The background of material nature is Krishna. He's the controller of everything. Your breathing, your heartbeat, your ability to digest food, everything. And therefore, a person that realizes this is a devotee. And people would think, oh, this just happens automatically and nobody's controlling it. They're all demons. Why do I say demons? Because they're envious of Krishna. They don't want to admit that there's someone like Krishna who's controlling everything. So, who are the biggest demons? The scientists are the biggest demons. They think that there is nobody controlling everything, and they are discovering things and putting their own names to the so-called discoveries. So we see the foolishness of modern scientists who understand that there has to be a supreme living entity that's organizing nature. Otherwise, there would not be any possibility of having science. Everything would be chaotic. But no, everything is functioning in an orderly way. Now, how is that possible? Not because of the living entities like us, because there's superior living entities. And the most superior one is Krishna himself. So Krishna has his government, and uh, the different states in the world have their government. But the government of the Lord is the supreme government over everything. So that supreme government is functioning without the help of the ordinary governments. And every once in a while, just to show the demons who's the boss, there are hurricanes, there are earthquakes, and there are other things, floods, and so forth, to prove that human beings are not in control of nature. They are controlled by nature. There's also heart attacks, there's also old age, disease, and death, and so forth. All these things are indicative of the fact that we are not the controller. There's a supreme controller above us. So that supreme controller is what we're reading about in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Every day we're reading about the supreme controller. His name is Krishna. That's why here in this purport today it says, the government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet or two or three, there are millions of planets and millions of universes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a huge government and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered as bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Oh, by the way, do they teach this in school? No. They don't teach it. No, you don't hear anything like this in school. Why? It's because the mundane speculators are jealous and envious of God. That's why. Therefore, they don't talk like this. They don't write things like this. The Supreme Personality of God has a huge government, and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered as bodily limbs. These are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Okay, you just take that one statement. If your teacher said, well, write something scientific, and if you wrote that statement, they would say, this is not scientific. This is mythology. Right? They would reject your paper, saying, this is not scientific. Where did you learn this? This is all made up nonsense. No, it's the fact. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god, and the air god are working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Well, do your scientists say today that there's a sun god, that there's a moon god, there's a fire god, and the air god, and they're working under the direction of the Supreme Lord? No, they would not make a statement like that. They have no knowledge of that. They might hear it, but they'll say, well, that's mythology. That's not science. We haven't discovered that yet. Therefore, it's mythology. Well, that doesn't mean it's mythology. It just means that the scientists do not have the means to understand how the universe is actually being managed. They think that they will find out all the secrets of the universe by their scientific research. And Prabhupada said this is the fault of modern um, research. They want to research everything, but there's some things you can't research. They're beyond the ability of ordinary human beings to understand. The mystical things that are happening without the understanding of material scientists. They see it, they know about it, they don't talk about it. They say, one day we will understand everything about nature. One day. But they die before that one day. So, therefore, if they don't know, then they should accept what the Shastra is saying. You see, if there's something you don't know, and after so many thousands of years of research, then you should accept what the Shastra says. Okay, so this is a very important point that Prabhupada makes. He says, okay, if you don't know, but we are giving you an explanation, then you should accept the explanation we're giving. If you say, no, 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 we will find out also in our own way. No, no, there's no such thing as our own way. The all, in other words, the wheel was invented thousands of years ago. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in every generation. So if the scientists say, well, we don't know yet, but we will in the future, trust no future, however bright. Uh, all the knowledge of how the universe works is already been documented by the demigods and ultimately under the control of Krishna. So Krishna, there is an explanation of how the universe is working, but they won't accept it. They say it's mythology. That is the problem with modern scientists, and because of that, they just continue what you would call researching, right? Whereas the explanation is already there. There are superior living entities in the world, and the most superior one is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is how the universe is working in a predictable way. No one can deny it that the universe is working in a predictable way. If it was working in a chaotic way, there'd be no question of science. There'd be no question of what you would call uh, studying nature. You wouldn't be able to study nature if it was chaotic and not being controlled. The only reason we can have a weather forecast is because everything is being controlled by the Lord. Therefore, they can make certain weather forecasts. And, let's say 50% of the time, their forecasts are correct because nature is functioning in a predictable way. If nature was chaotic, there would be no science. No one would be able to predict anything. Right? But because nature is predictable, and that means that there's someone or there's a superior organization that's functioning. Just like in a city, there's organization that's functioning. But in the universe, there's a higher organization that is functioning. Okay? And it's beyond the scope of the tiny scientist brains. But because they are puffed up and envious, they refuse to accept such an explanation. So there is a moon god, there is a fire god, and there is the air god, and there is the sun god. Okay? And they are all working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, Suyati Sacharacharam. The natural laws are being conducted under his superintendence, meaning Krishna, because he is in the background. Everything is being performed punctually and regularly. That is a huge statement that most scientists would not agree. There might be a few that agree with that, but most scientists would not agree. And why is that? Because they're envious of Krishna. So, therefore, they're not real scientists. They're rejecting something that is facing them right in the eyes. That there are superintendents of nature in the material world, and above all those subordinate superintendents, there's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, nothing would be predictable. Everything would be chaotic. Right? The only reason there is science is because the universe is functioning in a predictable way. This says, let's say, the elephant in the room. They can see it, but they refuse to accept it. You know? They want to say, "Well, no, uh, we haven't come to that level of understanding yet, but we'll come to it in the future." That's no trust no future, however bright. Uh, the, the the explanation of how the universe is functioning is already there in Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading about it every day, but yet the scientists reject it. That means that they're not real scientists. They are envious creatures. Just like, there's certain envious creatures like snakes and other types of creatures that are poisonous. And these are the scientists. They are poisonous. They don't accept the existence of God. That means they're poisonous creatures. And poisonous creatures like a snake is very envious. Okay, so there's another statement here that's a little bit shocking. It says, the demigods are also ordinary living entities, but due to their faithfulness, their devotional service attitude, that's what faithfulness means, the devotional service attitude, they have been promoted to such posts. In other words, they have a lot of powers, and there are, let's say, subordinate controllers. These different demigods or directors, such as Chandra, Varuna, and Vayu, are called Adhikari Devata. The demigods are departmental heads. The government of the Supreme Lord consists not only of one planet or two or three. There are millions of planets and millions of universes. That has not been understood yet by modern science. There are some scientists that claim that there's not just one universe, that there are other universes, but they haven't discovered them yet. But they can tell by their, let's say, intuition or their research that there must be other universes. So they haven't explored this universe yet, and they don't have any real knowledge of all the other universes. So their knowledge is very parochial. Look that word up, parochial. It means that they have very limited knowledge, very narrow understanding of.
Having a limited or narrow outlook or scope.
Yes. That is the position of the scientists today. Very narrow understanding of things. They understand a few things. Now, who are the real scientists? Well, you look at Newton. Newton said, "We've only studied a few sands in the vast ocean of the universe. Only just a few sands. There's millions and millions of sands, right? And so we only studied a few sands. Look up the statement of Newton. Uh, he was a real scientist because he believed in God. He might not have been, fully understanding who God is, but he believed that there was a God, right? And he understood the limitations of modern science. And he is one of the greatest scientists in the history of the world. And he says that we've only understood a few sands in the ocean of knowledge. Look that up. Isaac Newton. People talk about Einstein, but Isaac Newton was much bigger than Einstein. You find something?
Yes.
What's it say?
Newton said he had picked up just a few grains of sand from the vast ocean.
There it is. Of knowledge.
Of vast ocean of knowledge, yes.
Yeah. What a statement that is. That means he's a very humble person.
Modest.
And he's being realistic. He's telling the truth. And other scientists know this, but they don't accept it. They don't want to publicize it. But Newton was a real scientist because he understood what the limitation of their scientific research is. Yes.
He also,
A few more quotes. He said, so one is on discovering the truth. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people.
I didn't understand what you said.
It's one of the quotes he made.
What is it again?
I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people.
Yeah. Well, that's a different subject.
here is another one that may be relevant.
Yeah.
This is regarding the solar model that he makes.
Right. Yeah.
And then somebody, an atheistic friend comes and then says, this is so beautiful,
Yeah, who made this? Who made this?
Yeah.
You made it, right? And he said, wait a
It
minute.
happened by chance.
Yeah, it happened. He said, Newton said it happened by chance, And the atheist said, that's not possible. You made it. You made it. He said, wait a minute. You're saying that a facsimile of the universe that I made, you're saying that I made it. When we go out and see the actual universe, you say nobody made it. Say that is the type of craziness of envious people, right?
Yeah. So that's where, in that context, he says about the actual universe. He says this most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being.
Yeah, the council, that means it's under the control of somebody.
Yeah. And this being governs all the things, not as the soul of the world, but as the Lord over all. And on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God, the universal ruler.
Yeah.
So that's his.
That was Newton, right?
Yeah, Newton.
You see, these guys were actually, they believed in the existence of God. Hare Krishna, yes.
He also says gravity explains the motion of planets, of the motion of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion.
Who said that?
Newton.
Uh-huh. Read that again.
Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion.
Okay, what he's saying is there is somebody that has set everything in motion. We just don't know who it is. So if you don't know who it is, then you should accept our explanation. It's God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you don't know, but we know, so you have to accept what we say. If you can say we don't know, but we will know in the future. That's cheating. that is cheating.
I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself, I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore and diverting myself and now and then finding a smoother pebble or prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me.
Right. You see, Newton was a genuine scientist. He knew the limitations. He knew that whatever they knew was just a few grains of sand in the ocean of knowledge. Whereas scientists today say, well, we've come this far and we'll know everything in the future. Yeah.
So one question, Maharaj. Because here it says that due to their faithfulness and their devotional service attitude is something that we do with love, or at least as you progress, it will be something out of love, isn't it? Because this verse is saying that they're all doing out of fear. Why are they doing out of fear as opposed to doing out of love or doing out of duty?
Well, I mean, look, there's a tsunami or there is a hurricane. Would you be in fear in those situations? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize there's a greater being in the universe who's controlling these things. So therefore, when these things happen, people start praying. That means they're praying out of fear because they see how very easy it is for them to die when there's a hurricane or when there's a. I'll give you an example. This was on a this was on the on well, I guess YouTube. There was a lady who was narrating inside her house, but uh, seeing what was happening through the window of her house of very bad storm, right? And at one point, she's narrating what's going on outside her window of the house, and at one point, her whole house gets swept away, and then her narration stops. You know, and it was like a shocking thing to see, right? And she died. She's narrating what she's seeing outside of her house, and all of a sudden, the house gets blown away, and not the wind exactly, but in the flood, and silence. She's dead. So, did she know that she was going to be swept away that day by that flood? No, she didn't know, and she was narrating what's happening on the YouTube or whatever. And all of a sudden, she gets swept away also, and her whole house goes. So this is how tenuous human life is. Look that word up, tenuous. Any moment, we could die. What's it say?
Very weak or slight.
Right. That is our existence in the material world. We think, oh, I'm only, 18 years old and I got at least a whole lifetime ahead of me. There's no guarantee to have that lifetime ahead of you. It could end at any time. Therefore, people who are realistic, they understand that there's a superior controller of everything. Do the scientists accept this? Very few. Isaac Newton would be one that he accepts that there's a supreme controller above all the research that he can do in his lifetime. So he was somewhat of a believer in God, you see. But then fast forward, most scientists don't believe in God. Not all of them, but many of them, or most of them. And why not? Because they think that they can eventually, through scientific research and experimentation, unravel all the secrets of the universe. Look up that statement. Through scientific research, eventually science will unravel all the mysteries of the universe. And Prabhupada said the fault of the scientists is that they want to research everything. There's some things you can't research. They're beyond the ability of scientists to research.
What was the statement, Maharaj?
That one day the scientists will understand all the secrets of nature by research.
Maharaj, it says, can science explain all the mysteries of life? And it says yes, because everything in the universe happens for a reason. And science is
Wait a minute. Start all over again. Speak a little.
yes, because everything in the universe happens for a reason. And science is man's way of explaining why these things happen.
That's a nonsense statement.
Maybe I should learn to obey the base strategy.
What?
Maybe I should obey the base strategy.
What does that say?
I'm just typing. I just started. The last one said it is possible.
It's possible that science will understand everything?
The-
I'm not understanding.
So the regular internet says yes to the question we asked Maharaj.
Yes.
So they are looking at the Veda-based chat GPT
Oh,
to
okay.
see if Prabhupada has mentioned.
And what does Prabhupada say?
Maharaj Prabhupada says, where Srila Prabhupada explains that material knowledge is inherently limited because it only concerns the temporary, ever-changing material world. He emphasizes that while scientific achievements can bring about material advancements, they remain confined to understanding physical nature, which is ultimately under the control of the Supreme Personality of God.
So that they will not be able to understand everything. Is that right?
The same question is interesting. Yeah.
What?
The same statement we pasted in general chat GPT and Veda-based chat GPT. And in one case, it said that the scientists expect to unravel everything through science. That's, and then the general chat GPT, it's like, yes, the aspiration to unravel everything through science has been the long-standing deal in scientific communities. Scientists seek to understand the universe by uncovering the fundamental laws from subatomic particles to cosmic phenomena through evidence-based theories and rigorous methodologies. However, scientists often reveal even more questions as it answers old ones, showing that the knowledge is a continuous, ever-evolving journey rather than a destination. So that's the scientific.
Meaning they'll never really understand everything.
Yeah.
Okay, Abhi, your turn. You're waving your arm.
Chapter 7, Krishna says, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving, and non-moving beings. Under its rule, its manifestation is created and humiliated again and again.
Yes, Maya Dakshina Pakuti Suyatesa Characharam. Natural laws are being conducted under his, meaning Krishna's superintendent. Because he is in the background, everything is being performed punctually and regularly. Yes, you would not be able to understand anything or have science if everything was chaotic. But because the universe is functioning in a predictable way, that means there's a controller of it. And that means that you can predict things. Like just scientists can tell you what the weather is going to be 2 days from now or 1 week from now. And most of the time they'll get it right. Why? Because nature is predictable. Why? Because it's controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If nature was completely chaotic, there would not be any science at all. Yes. Science deals with things that are predictable. If everything is chaotic, there's no science. Go ahead.
The actual power of working of the actual power of and workings in nature are directed by Krishna, the supreme control, and can only by truly understood through spiritual insight, which goes beyond empirical science.
Empirical means material science. Yeah. You're dealing only with matter. You're not dealing with supernatural powers or Krishna. What do you read from? Okay.
The translation.
Yeah.
In Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada explains that nature or Prakriti and its workings cannot be fully understood by human scientific endeavors alone. He clarifies that material nature operates under the supreme will of the Lord, and that is merely a reflection of the higher spiritual reality. The actual power and workings, well, I read that. Merely a reflection of the higher spiritual reality. And then Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Srila Prabhupada elaborates that understanding this divine arrangement requires knowledge beyond what scientific methods can capture. Only by understanding Krishna as the ultimate cause and controller of nature can one begin to grasp its true nature. Therefore, according to the Gita, while science can observe and manipulate aspects of nature, it cannot ultimately discover its purpose or origin without acknowledging the transcendental intelligence behind it.
That would be a statement that scientists would say, well, that's your belief, but it's not scientific. Yeah. Well, the proof that a statement like that is the truth is because scientists agree that there are limitations to what they know. That's what Newton was saying. We've only studied a few grains of sand in the ocean of knowledge.
Vast ocean.
Vast ocean of knowledge. So, and therefore, he's a real scientist. He's being honest about the limitations there is. That means that we don't have an explanation of things. Therefore, we should accept the explanation of Krishna. If you say, well, we don't know what this is yet, okay, then you should accept what we're saying. We have an explanation. Right? There's a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there's an organization in the universe of demigods that are organizing things under the superintendence of Krishna. Right? If you don't have an explanation, we have an explanation. But they'll say, no, we haven't discovered this yet. So your explanation is just mythology. Yeah. So that was Prabhupada's argument. He said, well, if you don't have an explanation, we have an explanation. Therefore, you should accept our explanation. Right? Okay. Yeah.
Once that Jesus Christ is the real scientist because he knows how to
He resurrected from the dead.
yeah.
Yeah. So he's a real scientist. What is the real goal of science? Is to become immortal. That's how science began in the Western world. They were looking for a way of becoming immortal. So they began to do all types of experiments to find the elixir of immortality. Look up Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon. He spent most of his life trying to find the elixir of immortality. P-O-N-C-E, Ponce de Leon.
P-O-N-C.
E.
So P-O-N-E.
C.
E. Leon.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
What does it say?
Ponce de Leon was a Spanish explorer and renowned for his expeditions to Puerto Rico and Florida.
Yeah. He was looking for the elixir of immortality in Florida. He thought that's where the elixir of immortality would be. Does it say that?
Yeah, he in 1513 he embarked on an expedition to explore the region now known as Florida, naming it La Florida due to its lush vegetation, and because he landed during the Easter season known as Pascua, Florida in Spanish. This journey marked the first recorded European visit. A popular legend suggests that Ponce de Leon was searching for the mythical Fountain of Youth
There it is.
during his Florida expedition.
He was looking for the fountain of youth in Florida, where there's only alligators and snakes. There still are alligators and snakes in Florida. It's a dangerous place. Oftentimes, people go to the bathroom, they see a snake in the toilet. Huh?
Florida?
Huh?
In Florida?
Yeah, yeah. Snakes go through the
Sewers.
the sewers. They end up in your toilets.
And we saw some pictures of alligators right in the
In the house,
front
yeah.
yard.
On the
They
front
open the
yard,
door and then
there's
the
an
alligator.
alligator. And that's why I don't like Florida. I don't want to go there. Too many bugs and snakes and alligators there. Sometimes you see, an alligator running around in downtown area. Yeah, yeah. There's pictures. I mean, you can see it on the internet. There's pictures of it. Some alligators, like 12 feet long, is walking around in the park in Florida. And oftentimes, not every day, but every, let's say, year, some lady is walking her dog down the streets in Florida, some places in Florida, and an alligator jumps out and grabs the dog, and then the lady fights with the alligator, and then the alligator grabs the lady and kills her. You can look that up. It happens, not all the time, but it happens. Or you can look at how many deaths are there by alligators biting human beings in Florida. The alligators are hungry, and the most dangerous time is when alligators are in heat. You know, that's the most dangerous time. Because they hide in the swamps and places like that. And if someone walks by, they'll jump out right away and grab you. That's why you should never walk your dog near a swamp because alligator, they're very sneaky. They'll hide somewhere and they'll jump out of their hiding place and catch you off guard. And if they miss the dog, they'll go for you. Yes. What does it say?
It's still a small number though, Maharaj. It says between 1948 to 2022, they documented 453 unprovoked alligator bite incidents in Florida, resulting in 26 fatalities. That's over a 60-year period, 70-year period.
It's still dangerous.
Yeah. In 2023, there were at least 2 alligator attacks,
2 deaths.
2 deaths basically. 85-year-old killed by a 10-foot alligator while walking her dog, and then a 41-year-old woman attacked by a 13-foot alligator.
We see usually when someone's walking a dog, the alligator wants to eat the dog. But as soon as the person tries to save the dog, the alligator goes after the person. And that's why there are there's sometimes deaths. The alligator is not interested in the human being. He's interested in the dog, but the human being tries to fight the alligator. Then the alligator goes after the person and kills them.
There are instances showing.
What?
There are instances showing the alligator on the street.
Yeah, it's not a rare occurrence. If you walk around in Florida, sometimes you'll see alligators just walking around in the golf course, places like that where there's water. Yes.
The percentage of deaths in Y, heart disease is 40%, cancer is 18%, unintentional injuries, accidents 6%, chronic lower respiratory diseases 5%, stroke, cerebrovascular diseases 5%, Alzheimer's disease is 5%, Alzheimer's disease 5%, diabetes 3%,
Influenza.
influenza and pneumonia 2%, kidney disease 2%, septicemia 1%. Other causes including suicide, liver disease, and various other conditions make up the remaining percentage. These figures can vary slightly.
Well, did it say alligators 1% or something?
Yeah, I think it will be very, very. Like, it's a negligible percentage in that way.
Negligible.
Because it's like only 26 fatalities in the last 70 years is what they're saying, according to ChatGPT. I don't know if it got the right. And 452 attacks, but of that, about 26 died.
That is in Florida only.
Just in Florida. I mean, that's the only place I think where we keep hearing about the alligators.
They have seen 2 weeks back as well.
What's that? Someone died?
Not died, but they have seen on the street.
Oh, on the street, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's normal in Florida. Okay, so are there any questions?
Is it takeaway?
What? What's the takeaway? Don't live in Florida.
Correct. The video Maharaj.
Yes.
So, alligator attacks are infrequent, with an average of about 1 to 2 facilities per year in Florida. Fatalities per year.
1 to 2. Wow.
Well,
That's 1 to 2 too many.
most attacks do not result in circumstances. Attacks often occur when people are in or near water bodies where alligators are present, particularly if they are swimming, wading, or fishing.
Mhm.
Most attacks happen during warmer months when alligators are more active. Behavior. Alligators are typically avoid humans, but they may become aggressive if they feel threatened, if a person is near their nest, or if they are fed by humans.
See how stupid human beings are. They want to feed an alligator. Yeah.
Prevention. To reduce the risk of alligator attacks, it's advised to stay away from the water's edge, not feed alligators, and be cautious in areas known to have alligators.
Well, that's what I do. I stay away from Florida. I don't want to see an alligator in my backyard.
There are a bunch of videos there, alligators showing in their front yard.
Yeah.
Just like we have deers here.
Deer.
Deer.
Yeah, but they're not trying to eat you.
Deer.
They're more afraid of you than you are of them.
They're vegetarians.
But the alligators, if they're hungry or if it's their mating time, they'll attack. And what they do is they hide. And when you walk past them, they jump out of the hiding place and grab you. And that's threatening. I mean, that's just very, very, you know, very, very surprised. Alligators are hiding in, in water. Yeah, they're just slightly above the water so they can see you. Right? But you don't realize it's an alligator. And all of a sudden it jumps out of the water and grabs you.
People must be afraid when in Florida going into the water. Never.
It can happen. It can happen. But see, the most dangerous thing are saltwater alligators. Most people think alligators are only in the uh, lakes and rivers and things. Like that. They're also saltwater alligators. You can go swimming in the ocean and get killed by an alligator.
They camouflage, right, Maharaj?
Yeah,
And then they, in the water, they don't appear. Suddenly they come out.
they're very sneaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go to Florida today.
I will-
Okay, so I think we'll stop right there with the alligators from Florida.
This coming years, the Sadhu Sangha is in Florida. It's going to be alligator Sangha or Sadhu Sangha.
Oh my God. No, but that's usually inside, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, our takeaway for today.
Haribol.
One who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely protected from all other influences. He no longer serves or is obliged to anyone else. Of course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord. There you go. So
Haribol.
that's our takeaway for today. It's the last paragraph of verse 42. One who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of God is completely protected from all other influences. He no longer serves or is obliged to anyone. Of course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord. Haribol.
Good.
Thank you very much. All glories to Sila. We should keep a record of all these takeaways. Who's going to do? You going to do that? Good. And then every once in a while, we'll go over all the takeaways.
Yeah, I think if we recap weekly once.
Yeah. And we should chronicle it. We should
Yes.
keep a history of all these takeaways. Thank you very much. All
Yeah.
glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. May he protect us from all alligators. There's too many alligators in Florida.
His full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord.
Hmm?
In the takeaway today, Maharaj, of
Yeah.
course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord.
Hare Krishna. That's a good takeaway.
Full power of thought. The
Thank you.
entire thoughts are all absorbed in serving the Lord.
Let's meditate on that all day today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Do we have a program tonight?
Maharaj.
We do, yes.
Yes. Wow.
Today is Pranasaki Mataji.
Okay. Yeah.
And I will drop you, but I have the temple service, and I think she's going to the yoga club support
She's
in
gonna what?
Seattle.
She's gonna what?
I'm going to go to drop
So-
Krishna and Bhakti Yoga Club Maharaj, in Seattle.
In Seattle. So Damodar Prasad will drop you at the program, and the Damodar Prasad Prabhu said he'll bring you back.
Oh, okay. That's
I
good.
think Francois Prabhu is also, Prisaka Prabhu also will come.
Mm-hmm.
It is his service today.
Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Ram. Thank you.
Hmm? Yes. Hmm? Okay. Hmm. Hmm.